Hello and welcome to a roundtable discussion where we'll be discussing the topic more than just a mortgage. This discussion is organized by Jannou Credit Union, where together we can move mountains. Buying a home or property can be a challenging activity for a first-timer. It is imperative that you get it right and get the right information. Purchasing property for the first time is exciting, but can be a very daunting endeavor. To demystify the process, we've called in the experts who will share their knowledge and on what you need to consider before entering in that process. With us today, we have Mr. Alfred Actie.
Yes.
And he is a quantity surveyor. And to his left is Mr. Tony Abraham, the credit mortgage officer at the credit union.
Yes.
So we're getting right into the topic. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself and how does your profession touch lives? Who's going to go first?
Tony Abraham, Jannou Credit Union, credit mortgage officer. Jannou Credit Union indeed has touched many lives, and in particularly with my job as a mortgage officer. On a day-to-day basis, I try my utmost to ensure that I satisfy the members. And as we know that one of the basic needs in life or for human is shelter. And I try my utmost to satisfy our members on a day-to-day basis.
That sounds good. So, Mr. Actie, what about you? What is surveying? What is this all about and how you really impact lives?
Well, Glenn, what I like most about my job really is exactly what you've asked, how it touches lives. When I'm involved in the mortgage process very early, being involved very early involves me doing that very first valuation of the vacant lot for the client. After the client has obtained that land and they wish to start construction, I'll be involved throughout the construction process. And very often, the family, the client and the family comes on the site, sometimes with the children. And the children come and they start claiming the rooms very early. Mommy, this is my room. Daddy, that is my room. It really gives me a joy. And like Tony said, I most times, if not always, go out of my way to assist the clients, the members, just to ensure that they're satisfied at the end. Especially when you right there, hear the children call for the room very early.
So that leads me to ask then, Tony, what is the importance of owning a property, a home? Why should somebody be concerned with this?
Okay, Glen, just knowing that you own your own is indeed of great importance. As I said earlier, having a shelter over your head is something that all of us would want to acquire or would want to achieve. Also, owning a home, we know that it can be used for long-term security for oneself and the family, also for investment purposes, also tax incentive. So owning a home is indeed important.
Yeah, very true. And young persons, I think, are encouraged to try to save towards this.
I suppose I could jump in.
Yeah,
a little
go ahead.
Because like Tony said, it's very important. Owning a home, owning a property is really a very solid investment. And, I look at it, I should say that very early there's a joy, there's some degree of excitement when you owning a home. But it goes beyond that, to be honest. It's really, in my opinion, a long-term strategy in accumulating wealth. Sort of, you think of when you've gone to Tony for a mortgage and you've been approved. You start paying that mortgage as you start making payments. A mortgage debt, it reduces, and very often your value increases. I'll draw the example. Let's consider someone who went into a mortgage 20 years ago with a mortgage term of 20 years. This year that person will have paid off that mortgage. And if you consider or think of the construction cost 20 years ago compared to today, you'll see that person, that client, that individual would have had significant equity on the property, and equity now translates to wealth. So it goes without question. I wouldn't think about it twice to advise somebody once it's considered properly to go into a mortgage to own your home.
So then that leads me then, as you mentioned, that family, when you introduced yourself, you said that family that it's exciting to see the children come and live in the room.
Very.
So I'm interested in land. I've seen the land. I've spoken to the owner. What is the next step? How do we start with the process?
Well, for me, I'd say call Tony. Call a financial, speak to your financial advisor. Find out how much you could afford. Let's find out what you can afford. Very often, the clients come to me with a set of drawings even before they know what the budget is. And very, very unfortunate, after we produce a cost estimate to construct that building, it's over the budget. And there are several revisions we'd have to do to the set of drawings. Sometimes the clients that have to go back to the architect to redesign just to ensure that they now have a set of drawings that falls within the budget. So the very first thing I would advise, and I always advise the clients, is to find out from the financial advisor how much they could afford.
Yeah, that's good.
Indeed.
But Tony, while you're going to answer that, also answer this question for me as well. What documentation do you need when applying for a mortgage loan?
Okay. When applying for a mortgage loan, you certainly would need your salary slip or income statement. The estimate from both the builder and also the quantity surveyor. We would need to know that you have life insurance, so therefore you would need to also submit a copy of a status report. The approved plan, of course, is essential. So that's basically the document that is required if somebody is coming in to apply for a mortgage loan.
Now, you mentioned life insurance, but I remember when I applied for mine, I had to increase my life insurance. That's something persons have to be aware of based on the value of the property that they want to.
Based on the loan that you're looking for, you need to find coverage. For instance, at Jannou Credit Union, we would cover a loan up to $60,000, and therefore any amount beyond that would need to be covered by your life insurance. In case of death, we know that this debt will be covered, and your loved ones will not have any issues with paying a debt after death.
Now, tell me about the quantity surveying aspect of it, because I know that it's not just a simple process. You actually have to really guide your clients into what they could really afford and how much this will cost. Tell me how that goes and what documentation you have to supply to your clients so that they could present to the bank as well.
All right, well, correct. Quantity surveyors generally is one of the team of professional advisors within the construction industry. I mean, as a quantity surveyor, we basically monitor projects from inception to its completion. Well, one of the first things, like I mentioned, would need, if a client wants to construct a new building, they would most certainly have to provide us with a set of drawings. Even before the drawings, if they want to acquire that land early, they would have to provide us with the block and parcel number or the land register, survey plan, and map sheet if they have some issues obtaining those, because it take some time. We obtain those for the client. Once we've obtained those documents, if the client requires, we provide a property valuation. And also, like I mentioned, after the client has provided us with the drawings, we provide a cost estimate. Now, in preparing the property valuation, let's just say a client wants to obtain land and build at one time. So they've gone to Tony, they've gone to the financial institution to get a loan or mortgage to acquire the land and to construct the building. In that property valuation, we'd have to provide them, or for the financial institution, the current market value of the property. That would form part of the valuation, and also, in addition to the construction cost, which would be derived from the cost estimate, would also provide the client with an anticipated or projected value of the property. That anticipated value would include now the value of the land and the projected value of the building on completion.
So, Tony, you need that information.
Yes.
Because your loan is dependent on how how much,
Absolutely.
if they default, what it is that you
Absolutely.
actually get back.
This go a long way, Glen. We would need to know upon completion what the entire value of that property will be. You know, the land and the house together, and this would determine the way forward. Determine whether that member we could continue, you know, pushing that loan for approval, or not. But the value upon completion is indeed paramount.
Okay, so I have a question here. A number of people are constructing their homes and they're doing it piecemeal and they're not going for a quantity surveyor. Is a quantity surveyor vital to the mortgage process, the building process as well?
Yes, certainly. Like I said, quantity surveyor is one of the team of advisors within the construction industry. We're basically the cost advisor. So yes, you intend on doing it piecemeal, but you need a budget. It doesn't matter how you intend to do it, you need a budget. You have to start with something. So even though you believe that you have your uncle or auntie, cousins helping you do it, how we call it kudme, you still need the guidance to ensure that you're not overspending, that you've obtained the correct quantity of materials. Most times the contractor would help you with that. But you'd still need the advice from the cost consultant to ensure that you stick to some kind of budget.
Yeah. And for you, Tony, how do I determine whether this is the right mortgage for me? Do I determine that, or is it that the Jannou tells me what it is that I could afford?
There are many factors to determine this. Whether the mortgage is right for you, whether I can afford the payback, okay? Whether I can afford the qualifying shares, right? The age is also a factor. So there are many factors to determine whether a mortgage is ideal for you. You know, we have cases where persons have come in with a design and they cannot afford it. So that's, I mean, you have to consider that before you move forward.
And that's what you're indicating, that, you know, no matter what it is, may or otherwise, it has to be costed properly.
Correct.
You mentioned age. What is the age at which you will not consider somebody for a mortgage loan?
Well, our insurance, that is the CUNA, which is our insurance, does not cover loan up to the age of 70. So we also take the retirement age into consideration, you know. So we at the Jannou Credit Union, we try our utmost not to go beyond 65. So age is a factor in that case.
Okay, so we're quickly coming up to our first break, but I'll give you the last word on this one. Tell someone in the business of looking for a mortgage, tell them why they require your services as a quantity surveyor again, so that they'll be successful in their project.
All right, well, it's very important. I'll touch on somebody wishing to not just start new construction, but somebody going to buy a building. It's important to engage a quantity surveyor, somebody to provide you a valuation or an expert advice on whether you go into, you know, the best investment. I mean, owning a property is one of the most important investments you'll make in your lifetime. So when you decide that you want to go into that investment and you've identified a property, without committing yourself to the vendor by making a deposit, you'd have to get the advice of the professional just to let you know and give you the comfort and confidence that you've made the right decision. Very quickly, very often, a person believes that they've identified a fixer-upper, and they want to very quickly lock down that deal and make a deposit. But there are several factors to consider, and without a professional, I mean, you could almost cause yourself to be at a deficit at the end.
Thank you very much. So we're coming quickly to our first break, but let me thank our panel so far. When we come back, we will talk about the legal aspects of the mortgage.